monitor. Cool. Hello.
Hello.
So, yeah, thank you for doing this. Basically, I just thought it'd be really helpful if we did a little video so you can talk about your experience over the last 12 weeks, kind of where you were at the beginning, where you feel like you're in now, the journey you've been on. And yeah, I'll hand over to you and you can start at the beginning.
So the beginning would be that I have battled with my weight for the last 25 years, done every fad diet, bought every book, probably spent an absolute fortune on the diet industry, contributed to it, and was successful once in my 20s, my very early 20s, before I had kids, before life became chaotic, before I had the high pressure job I've got now. And I think then I got really thin, and then my mental health suffered, and that's what I've been battling now for the last 25 years. So I've yo-yo dieted, I've been successful for a few stone, I've put a stone and more back on, or I've been able to stick to something for 2 weeks. And then, of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, I'm in lockdown, working from home, not moving, and my weight got up to its highest. And it's always the biggest thing that plays on my mind. It's always the biggest thing that knocks my mental health. And you know, the whole mental health thing is really interesting because I've often tried to find a diagnosis. Am I bipolar because I've got really bad mood swings? Am I depressed? Am I this? Am I that? And actually, the last 12 weeks, I haven't thought about any of those things. I haven't thought about a diagnosis. And, you know, I know now that my mental health is to do with my physical health and my anxiety about my physical health.
Yeah.
So I was surfing LinkedIn, and I saw you pop up as a mutual friend of a couple of my friends on there that I work with. And I thought, oh, I'm going to have a look, because what you were saying was really inspirational. And I had a look and I thought, do you know what? I like this. It's the only thing I've ever seen that puts mindset as one of the key elements of being well and physically well. So I picked up the phone and I think I sent you a message first at a ridiculous hour of the morning, because I had to act then, because that's how I am. Knew I had to do something in the pandemic, was really worried about my own mortality if I was to get COVID.
Yeah.
So inspired by that, inspired by 25 years of struggling, inspired by your post, I picked up the phone and we had a conversation.
It was a great conversation. I felt like I already knew you, which actually, to be honest, that's how quite a lot of my client conversations first go, is that our first conversation feels like it isn't our first conversation. And that for me then was the no-brainer, because, you know, when somebody tells you how much something's going to cost monetarily, you'll be like, oh my goodness. But because we'd had that connection when I first spoke to you, and because you can't put a price on your health, there was no question that that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to work with you for those 12 weeks. Yeah. And this is the thing as well, that why I think you never second guessed yourself. You just went, right, I need to do this. This is the right thing to do. I found the right person to do it with. I do a little bit of due diligence. I like what they say. I can see the evidence of that they've not just appeared from nowhere. I'll speak to them. I've got a good feeling. Let's just do it. And we were up and running from there. Yeah. Which I think, you know, a lot of people kind of go, I can't deal with this. I need to change. And then they kind of second guess themselves out of it and think, no, I'll just try again tomorrow with something that I've tried and failed 17 times before or whatever. Yeah. And I think, if I recall correctly, the post that I had put up that day, you mentioned it to me, the one I'd done like that day or the day before, and you said that was the one that had made you go.
It really resonated.
And it was.
Was it the excuses one? Yeah, that's the one it was. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
resonated, and all those excuses were excuses I made. And then you said you'd put something in the post like, stop, just get on with it, just do it, something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, because it's like there's so many people who so many times are like, I cannot go on like this, but then they just do go on like that.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking and it's exhausting, and that in itself saps your confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
So we started working together in July, and just let's take you through a little bit of kind of where you were then to where you are now in terms of what you feel like you've gained. Obviously, we know you've lost 37 pounds, which is awesome. And if you hadn't had COVID in the middle, I suspect would have been more. Let's talk a bit about what you feel like you've gained.
I've gained so many things, and interestingly, yes, I've lost 37 pounds, but that's not the biggest thing that I've gained. That sounds wrong, doesn't it? And I've lost it. I've not gained it. The weight loss isn't the biggest thing that I've gained. What I've gained is some balance in my life and some perspective. The accountability has really, I said to you when we had that first phone call, at the minute I can stick to something for 2 weeks and then I fall off.
Yeah, you told me as a statement, you said, I have never stuck to anything for more than 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and that was like your line in the sand. Yeah.
And so the accountability and the habit changing, because I have changed my habits.
Yes.
And I don't think I've ever successfully changed my habits before.
Yeah.
And I've changed my work-life balance. I don't start work now before 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I am cooking every day. I never cooked.
Yeah.
God knows did all the cooking, or we didn't eat, or I just grabbed something.
Yeah.
And none of that's feeling too much of an effort, unless I'm hormonal, then it's a bit of an effort. But
but even then you understand that more now, because we've had that kind of learning and reflection. But I mean, that thing on your work-life balance, like I can recall when we first spoke, you had no work-life balance whatsoever at all. Like you felt like you didn't have any time for you.
No.
And like, do you feel like obviously you've got more work-life balance now, but do you feel like you're getting less done, or do you feel like you've just found a different way to manage life? Or
a bit of both.
Yeah.
It's made me recognise that my workload I cannot do in 5 days.
Yep.
And I need to figure that out, and I haven't fully figured that out yet. And partly that's because of our organisation and the changes that we're going through and things like that are out of my control. I have started doing some things differently. Taking shorter meetings, not giving people an hour, giving them 15 minutes, blocking out time in my diary so I can get the work done. Definitely changed some practice of my own that I'm in control of. But some of it's out of my control.
But that's the thing I think that we work on, and that's where the mindset filters into everything, because you're focusing on what you can control. Your sense of control becomes bigger, but also with the structure, like of the food, of the workouts, of everything, comes freedom, which actually means that you have to use less bandwidth, which means then you're less stressed. So then you make better decisions, and it just all snowballs in a positive way, I think.
And snacking, I've always been a snacker, been a snacker. And that is one of the habits. I'm not going to lie and say I don't occasionally grab a snack, but I certainly don't do it every day.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference for me. Yeah.
It's massive, and it saves, like, so many people, and we spoke about this on the group call the other night, was people end up snacking through the day. It's more calories than an entire bloody meal, and it's not quality calories either, and you still feel hungry at the end of it.
And if I do have a snack now, it's a conscious snack.
Yes.
So my snack won't be a 200-gram bar of dairy milk. which it would have been before. It might be a couple of pita chips.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's made so many differences, and I'm making it work for me.
Yes.
And figuring out how it works for me.
Yes.
Rather than trying to fit something, me trying to bend to fit something like Slimming World or whatever, where you've got to do certain things. This, I can flex to my needs rather than the other way around.
Yeah, and that's what I always say about like my little, you don't need a diet, you need a nutrition strategy for life.
Yeah.
Because if you're on a diet, you're off a diet. But also, I would rather that you kept some of the things in the practices that the way that are working, and then tweaked other things so they're working better, and over time continue to improve. Because if I try and tell you to do something that goes against everything you enjoy and everything you want and everything that fits in your family, it ain't gonna stick, is it?
No.
And, I mean, you've managed to lose weight and get fitter and do this program while you've been on holiday. You had your bottomless brunch. You had COVID, which isn't as much fun as a bottomless brunch. I mean, so there's definitely been flexibility in there.
Yeah. And it's that consciousness again, isn't it? And the accountability. So the day I went on that bottomless brunch, when I sent you that text saying, this is my plan, this is how I'm going to do it, then held me accountable to that plan. And by the end of the night, a few drinks probably sneaked in because one was slightly inebriated. But fundamentally, I stuck to the plan.
Yeah, and the plan involved that pre-planning of swapping what the main meal was. You save 500 calories doing that.
Yeah.
And likewise, when we had that call, it's funny because I can really distinctly remember where I was for each one of these calls, because I was walking while we were on each of these calls. And when I was texting you when you did that plan thing, I know where I was. And when we had that long call before you went on your holiday, where we kind of workshopped where you were going to save some calories so that you could have your meals out and things like that.
Yeah.
And so you used that as a great learning tool for how to have a couple of weeks of maintenance while still having a nice time with your friends.
Yeah. And it really worked. And I didn't feel like I missed out on anything when I was on holiday.
Yeah.
And actually, I made my friend do the exercise with me, so she gained too.
Yeah. So moving swiftly to exercise, link for radio. Let's talk a little bit about exercise, because obviously when we first spoke, even walking was not much fun compared to now when you're easily doing 10,000 steps. And so talk to me a little bit about your how you managed to work in more steps, build up more steps, and then talk to me a little bit about exercise as well.
So I was quite sedentary when we first met, which also made me feel worse. Not just because exercise obviously is a good, happy drug, but because I've always been active throughout my life. But the last few years, as my weight got up, and then being at home in the pandemic and gaining more, the exercise had gone off. It had gone off. Even walking Alfie to school was hard work. I was breathless. My back was hurting. So I'd stopped doing it and I'd started driving him. Literally, it's a 7-minute walk. And I'd started driving.
Yeah.
So, and my friend who's here now was like, let's take the dogs for a walk. And I'm like, yeah, let's not. Or let's just go 5 minutes down the road and come back.
Yeah.
So I was doing next to nothing.
Life had just got really small.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And obviously you gave me a step count of 4,000 steps. I love the RAG rating system, and I never wanted to be anything but green. Yeah. So therefore I was always going to do 4,000 steps. So within a week I was up to within a day I was up to the 4,000 steps. And if I wasn't going outside to do them, I was running around the house. Yep. I was jogging on the spot, running around the garden to make sure I got those steps in. Yeah. And then, of course, there's the workouts. Yeah. Now, they weren't easy to start with. And the first week, I only managed 2 of the 3 reps. Yeah. And I only managed 2 sessions. Yeah. I had my son and his girlfriend sat there when I was doing the first. She going, you can do another, because I was doing 1 rep. I was done. I'm like, no, Mum, you could do it one more time. You can do it one more time. So I did do it one more time.
Wonderful.
And then the following week, I was like, no, I don't want red. I don't want amber. I want green. So the following week, I did 3 reps.
Yeah.
And then obviously as time's gone on, it's got easier. And don't get me wrong, nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, yay, workout day. You know, I wake up in the morning and think,
unless you've got a really bad job and it's your break from work.
Yeah. So I wake up and I go, yay, workout day. But it now feels alien not to do it.
And also, I find, I don't know if you'll agree, but I manage my own workouts in the way that I manage your workouts. And I find there's a lot of satisfaction in, as you can see the weeks going on, and you can literally look across and see your improvements, which builds its own system of boosting you up a bit, because
I was
you want to improve.
And that's it. And I was taking a break, not a massive one, in between even the 2 supers, in between the superset.
Yeah.
And then a break before the next superset. You know, so I was taking so many breaks. Now I do the whole workout without a break.
Exactly. And again, that's a victory. That's, you know, another improvement, because you can improve in so many ways. You can improve in terms of what you've added, but you can also improve in needing less rest. Like, I know when people have improved, because the workout time that they can do the workout in suddenly is so much shorter, because you can do the same stuff in such a shorter time. But yeah, I mean, you can tell I came from a corporate background, the fact that I have to like do spreadsheets and rag status things.
But I like that. That works for me. I'm a spreadsheet listed type of person, so I like that. And
it really doesn't take any time. It takes a couple of seconds as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of the kind of, we've touched on your kind of, that you can now easily do your 10,000 steps when you were struggling to, you know, go for walks and were making up excuses not to before. Obviously you've lost the weight, you've gained strength, you've gained stamina. How has the changes in your body affected how you feel in terms of kind of autonomy in other areas and strength in other areas?
It's confidence, and it always is for me. The heavier I am, the less confident I am.
Yeah.
And whenever I lose weight, I'm always more confident, and I'm more confident at work, more confident at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's absolutely confidence and reducing anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because it's like, it's not nice to feel shit about the fact that you don't want to almost go to a social event because you feel bad about your body. It's, you know, it affects your ability to enjoy stuff as well as ability to participate.
Yeah. And that thought in the morning that you've got to choose something to wear, that was awful. I hated that. I hated having to choose something to wear in the morning. Whereas now, you know, and I'm not 100% happy. I want to lose more weight. I've still got further on my journey to go. But now I look forward to getting dressed a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. And so obviously that's like improved your self-image, your self-confidence. And I think in terms of kind of your habits and everything, I feel like the whole way through you've just approached everything with such a positive attitude and such a can-do attitude. And if you've never had a bit of a, like, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about that, it's just been, we can talk about it, drop me a text, whatever, and we've workshopped it, for one of a better way. Do you feel it's been difficult to make the positive changes, or?
I mean, I'm not going to say we're a breeze, because you're going from one completely different way of doing things to another.
Yes.
But
we're going from a comfort blanket that's uncomfortable at the same time to out of your comfort zone.
And having to think about, okay, if my emotions are this way, what else can I do rather than grab the biscuit tin, or, you know. So there's some of that. So, and I've had to ask myself difficult questions. I've had to find some willpower, even though I don't think this takes a massive amount of willpower. It feels easy in that respect.
Yes.
But once I were a couple of weeks in, You know, I took my son to have his nail surgery yesterday, and as a bit of a bribe for him to behave, I said he could have a KFC on the way. Yeah. And my other one decided to come too because I was going to KFC. And got them both the lunches, and then Alex said, "Aren't you getting one?" I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a hard decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's the habits, isn't it? That's the mindset stuff.
Yes.
So yeah. I'm still having to manage cravings a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's something I can keep working on.
And is the cravings, I'd imagine that as time goes on, it's like any other kind of muscle, that the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Yeah. And obviously cravings and habits are very much linked, as well as cravings and hormones. And
yeah, and I think my cravings is more about hormones and habits. Yeah.
And obviously we talk quite a lot on kind of calls, and some of the educations about some of that as well. And I feel like understanding it helps.
Yeah. And some of the education stuff you've given us blew my mind. And I'm a public health specialist, and I'm like, oh man, I never knew that, And so the education stuff that you've given us, and then we've discussed on the calls, has been really helpful.
I've tried to keep it fairly low level because I didn't want to go like too boring sciencey. So I've tried to keep it at quite a, like, not take it up too complex, but some of it is so flipping complex. But yeah, I just feel like some people don't necessarily want to understand like that, and it's there if they want it, and it's not if they don't. But I feel like it helps for most people to understand the background behind this. Absolutely. Is why this is happening.
Yeah.
Both in terms of our hormones, but also in terms of why the stuff that used to work when we were 25 doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that was a hard learning curve.
And that's the thing, it is a very unique time in our lives as women, because like we're more or less the same age, and it is different, and it's different physically, it's different mentally, it's just, I think I've said standing on quicksand. It is. And I think that's sometimes when people end up going down a bit of a rabbit hole, because their confidence is shot. The things that they used to do to work aren't working anymore, and so they just give up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that brings to a natural question of what do you think would have happened if you hadn't have taken that decision to pick up the phone, invest in yourself, invest in starting this program?
Well, my mental health would have just continued to decline. I do have good support networks with friends and family, and I'm sure at some point one of them would have given me a kick up the backside. But how far would my weight have gone until I did something about it?
Yeah. And I think that was what was so amazing when you put your very brave post up the other day of like, this is what I've done and this is what I've achieved. And everyone was so proud of you and so celebrating what you've done. It was awesome. And I bet that felt amazing.
It did. I was a bit worried, uncomfortable. I've never shared my weight. I don't let people look at me and, that kind of stuff. So I was very much putting myself out there. I did worry there might be some trolls that put some horrible things, but there wasn't one negative comment, not one negative comment. And actually, today I was on a meeting at work and a colleague says, can I have 2 seconds with you? I said, yeah, of course you can. And so he rang me back and he's like, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you. He says, I know you put that post on Facebook for women. He says, but it's just as much for men. He says, I've gained weight. He says, I've put this many pounds on. He says, and you've inspired me. He says, and thank you. He says, you're beautiful inside and out.
Oh, and that's the thing, though. That's the really important message. Is like, you can do it. But when you sat on your own in the house, having been ripped off by Slimming World countless times and failed, or not knowing what to do and looking at a YouTube video or whatever, you feel like you can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that hopefully I suspect that several others of your friends will have also been inspired by that.
Yeah.
Because you shown that as long as you make up your mind to do it and get the support to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just actually saying, I'm drawing a line, enough is enough.
And what it's made me realise is the feeling of not having that bar of chocolate on that bag of crisps worse than the thought of being very poorly, having diabetes, not surviving COVID, and no, that feeling's not worse.
Yeah.
And if I think about it that way,
yeah,
I don't want to put that bar of chocolate in my mouth.
No, and also that's what we were talking about last night when we were talking on the group call about the riding out the small period of discomfort and learning other ways to deal with uncomfortable emotions for the long term less discomfort, because otherwise we're, if you deal with a discomfort of feeling crap about your body by eating chocolate, well, you're going to have a long-term discomfort of feeling even crappier about your body, plus all the health associations, etc. with it. So
exactly.
And that's the thing, and I think that's why I also don't do like the set one-to-one time. I do the just text me and let's see when we need each other.
That's been amazing. Yeah, because friends have said, oh, what's it cost you to do that? And what's it done? And do you see her? Do you meet her? Do you do this? Do you do that? And I'm like, no, we have a group call once a week. Nikki sends us education. We've got lots of learning to do, and this, that, and the other. I said, but if I need to text, I text, and Nikki responds.
Yeah.
I says, and that's all I need, and how many, and not only that, you respond knowing with the evidence, I know that what you're telling me is based on training, credentials. Some of the people, the classes I've been to before, they're not even trained in nutrition. They're not, there's no credentials behind it. It's just the marketing ploys, and this isn't about that. So I know what information I'm going to get back is going to be good and quality, and you're just always at the end of the phone.
Well, that's the thing that I feel like if you're having a wobble, like that's the time you need someone to go, you can do this. Mm-hmm. It's not like if you feel like you're having a wobble on a Wednesday morning, well, I'm only going to see you on a Friday evening or so. It doesn't work like that. If you're feeling like I'm feeling pretty, vulnerable at the moment, that's the time you need someone to go, you can do this. I know you can do this. Think about this that you did fantastic. Think about this that you've already done. That's the time you need it. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm so proud of you. And I know that all your friends who were so supportive when you put your post up are so proud of you as well. And I hope you're really proud of yourself.
I am.
And I know that that the journey is still continuing, because obviously we're continuing. So, I guess my other questions that I would probably ask is, what would you say to anyone who's going, well, I don't know, if surely I could do it on my own, or I'll just try again tomorrow and I'll just see, I'll look something up, or I'll just try and do it on my own or whatever. And have you tried that before? Has it worked? What's your kind of overview now of the last 3 months?
What I'd say is we all know ourselves, don't we? And we all know whether saying I'll do it on my own is an excuse to quit after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or, that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have done it on my own because I haven't in 25 years.
Yeah.
So I would say to people, have that accountability.
Yeah.
Because that has really worked for me. As I said, I've been able to make it fit my life, which is exactly what I needed to do. But having the accountability, having you available to say, and I have done it. I've texted you and I've said, I'm struggling today. I just want to go and eat a bag of crisps.
Yeah.
And you've responded to me, and I haven't had the bag of crisps. No woman is an island, is what I'd say.
Yeah.
We all need support. We all need networks, and you can't put a price on your health, as I've said before. And I've probably saved more, not buying takeaways and junk food, to offset the investment in myself.
Yeah, yeah,
by working with you.
yeah. And I know as well that when you've just mentioned the thing about No Woman in Ireland and all of that, that I know from other clients who you've seen on group calls and from other group calls that it's not just about the interaction between you and I or me and another client individually, but there is also that feeling of not being alone in the fact that we have those group calls and that people can actually hear someone else saying what their experience is at that time and feel like there's women who are in a similar position.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the it's been one of the really interesting things for me when I've had other clients say, oh, even when they've watched them on catch up, when they've not been able to attend and they've said, oh, I watched such and so said so-and-so, such and such about whatever. And that really helped me. So you're all helping each other without even knowing it, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, it is. And that camaraderie is really nice. It's like, I feel like I know Kate, because the two of us have been together this whole 12 weeks and often be the two on the call. So yeah.
Now that's the thing. This embodies what I wanted to do and why I put the program together how it is, because I don't think, I've said it before, I don't think you can sort your nutrition out, unless you're one of these people who absolutely loves exercise. You're never going to be someone who can sort your nutrition out, keep active, do all that stuff without looking at the mindset as well, because we've got an entire lifetime of habits that are self-defeating, plus the fact we've failed on things before. If we don't look at mindset and we don't have that support network and the knowledge about the tactics and techniques of mindset as well, I just don't think it can all come together to last. And that's the thing we want, is for it to last.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And the other thing I would say is the fact that we can do this virtually takes pressure off too. I don't have to go to a certain place for 3 hours on a certain night and do this, that and the other. Like I said, I can text you when I need to, and the group calls I'm doing in my living room. It's like, it just makes it so much easier to access.
It does, and it also means that it doesn't matter whether you want to train at the exact same time as someone else, because if you wanted to train at exactly the same time on the exact same day as someone else, there's only one of me. How's that going to work? Whereas this way, and I suppose that's one thing I would say. One of the things people often are questioning about is, well, will I do the exercise if there's not someone stood over me? And how will I know what to do? Were either of those sort of a concern for you before you started?
No, because I felt like you were watching over me with my one sheet. So there was my one sheet. Yeah, and we ring into the group calls.
Yeah.
And you're going to look as to see whether we're green, orange or red. And, so no, I did feel like that's that accountability.
Yeah. And that's what I love about the Sheets app, is that I can literally see, if you had yours open now and type something in, I can literally see it appear on my screen like that. But also, I just feel like if you had really not known what to do with an exercise, you could have rung me up on video call and asked me that as well.
Yeah. And you did the video library.
Yeah.
So, and we can all use Google.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So, yeah.
So I can't think of anything else I kind of wanted to ask you. I think you've probably covered everything that you wanted to say about the whole thing. I just want to say well done again, and thank you again for picking up the phone and for investing in the process and having confidence in the process. And I think you're awesome and you've done amazingly, and it will continue. So
thank you, and thank you.
You're very
for
welcome.
the accountability.
And the one sheets.
Yeah, the one sheet. There is, I love them.
Right, I will let you get off, and I will see you on our next call. No doubt speak to you before, and have a lovely evening, and I will press stop when I can figure out how to do it. All right, say goodbye then.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.